Excuse me, Mr. Geo.
Yeah, what's up?
What does it take to become a champion?
You gotta dream, you gotta think, you gotta act, you gotta ball, you gotta bleed, and most important, you gotta believe.
You gotta dream
Like a champion,
think
like a champion,
act
like a champion, say I'm a champion.
soar
Like a champion,
Bleed.
like a champion,
Look in the mirror and believe.
you're a champion.
You gotta dream
Like a champion,
think
like a champion. You're tuned in to IChampionHealth Chats, the podcast for amplifying community voices and advancing health for all in Lexington, Kentucky. Each episode connects you with local champions who bring powerful stories, useful tools, and fresh ways we can show up for ourselves and others. Let's lock in and learn how we can champion health together. All right. Good morning to all of our listeners and viewers, and welcome to another episode of IChampionHealth Chats. My name is Gerald Gibson. I am a community program coordinator for Operation Making a Change, and we focus on violence prevention and intervention right here in Fayette County. Joining me today is my co-host, Mr. Jakob Hester. Jacob, speak to him.
Yeah, I'm Jakob Hester. I'm program coordinator for IChampionHealth here in the UK College of Education, and we're a community engaged initiative dedicated to health for all.
All right. It's very important to associate yourself with good community partners. But today we have a special guest joining us today, Mr. John Bowman. We definitely appreciate John taking time out of his busy schedule to come sit down with us today. And man, you have such an amazing story, such an amazing journey, man. We just want to, kind of hear how did you get started? Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. And the floor is yours, Mr. Bowman. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gio. I'm grateful to be here. My name is John Bowman. I am the Kentucky Senior Campaign Organizer at dream.org. It's a long title. I had to get all that out. I have to think about it sometimes.
All right. That's okay.
But I am a person in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery since October 12, 2018. I'm also a person who is formerly incarcerated. Today, I work on everything that I can that is recovery or harm reduction related in Kentucky, from one side of the state to the other. I like to tell folks that I cover all 120 counties because I do, and everything deals with health. Everything comes back to health. Our campaign here in Kentucky for dream.org for the past few years has been public health is public safety. And it's centered around substance use and mental health. But if we really want our communities to be safer, we need to make sure they're healthy. And, that is hands down one of the biggest things that go into, safety for folks is health, and that's also unfortunately, it's one of our biggest costs as Americans as well. So, a lot of folks are one bad, experience or one bad medical emergency from, being out on the street. So it all ties together. And I tell folks that the stuff that I work on here in Kentucky, it's nonpartisan. It's not left or right. It's not black or white. It's nonpartisan. I work on people issues, man. That's it. That's what I do across Kentucky. I get to travel around and get to tell my story. I grew up 18 miles north of here in Georgetown. I was in active addiction for 24 years of my life. And then I went to Eastern Kentucky in 2018 for substance use treatment, and I've been there ever since. I needed that geographical change because I knew too many people, and things were just too easy to get around here. I didn't need money. I knew enough people that I could get whatever I wanted. So that geographical change worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it did for me because I needed a whole new reset. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, I needed to reset for all of it. And I got that. Now today I get to help others, become the best versions of themselves, whether that's through policy or whatever. I found out if I really want to make a change, I have to change policy. I can sit around in a group and talk to folks all day long, and it does great things. But if I really want to change stuff at the base level, we have to change policy, and that's what I do now. So I'm grateful to be here today. Thank you guys for having me this beautiful Saturday morning here in Lexington, Kentucky. And I will say this too, I've been all over the country. I used to be a truck driver back in the day, but now I travel around the country and work on policy. But I think Kentucky's the most beautiful state. We have the best people. Kentucky is so much more than just Lexington and Louisville.
Yeah.
And when folks really get out to experience it, you get to see we have a little bit of everything here. So, just get out and explore and enjoy your folks, man. And I found out one thing for sure across all 120 counties, we have some amazing folks doing amazing work.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. 120 counties. I mean, what I pulled out of that is health over wealth, and that's something that the world definitely needs to hear more of, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really interested about your journey from, yes, I heard you mention being a truck driver and now working on policy. Like it's not a conventional path, I guess, for a lot of people. So kind of talk about that a little bit. What sort of drew you into this work? Or were there like a moment or a group of moments that really that sort of path or direction kind of clicked for you?
Yeah, there was a lot of moments there. Yeah, I was a truck driver for a long time, and then I got a DUI in a vehicle sitting, not in a truck, in a regular car, sitting in a parking lot in Hardee's in London, Kentucky, and that was the end of my truck driving days. And from there, it's it wasn't the first time I'd been incarcerated. It just kind of spiraled a little more out of control. Then I was already in active addiction at that point, and it just went a little deeper and darker. And then once I got into recovery, that's when the advocacy stuff came in. It wasn't before. It was once I got a clearer mind. That's when I was like, oh, I can make a difference. I do have a voice, and people actually care what I have to say. They want to hear about the experiences I've had. And I try to make sure today that I tell other folks that they have a voice and they can use it. If you talk to some of my friends, they'll tell you to be careful hanging out with me because you might end up on the news. You might end up on a panel. It's untelling what.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a fear of public speaking, do not hang around me because I will have you in front of people speaking. I found the best way to conquer my fears was to face them head on. I always had a fear of public speaking growing up. And the first time I done it was in front of 1,000 people. When I was in treatment, I gave a speech at a graduation ceremony, and man, that was the most nervous I think I've ever been in my life. If I wouldn't have had a cap and gown on, people would have seen the waterfall of sweat coming off my bald head. But I like people to know that they can conquer those fears. That that's all a mental block. You can do this. If I can get up here and do this stuff, other folks can too. I have a checkered past, but that doesn't keep me from trying to better my future and the future of others. I make sure I don't let my past be a blockage for me, and I try to make sure other folks' past and a blockage for them. We have enough barriers going, in America right now just to survive. So we don't need more. But if I can make sure that folks get the care that they need, they get the resources they need, whether that be medical care, whether that be housing, whether that be food securities, whatever that may be, but making sure folks know where resources are. I don't do a lot of direct service, but I connect folks with resources. Have you talked to these people? Have you talked to these people? Hey, you guys need to pair up. These people are doing amazing work in your community. These people are doing amazing work in your community. So I try to make sure that I'm always highlighting folks that are doing good work across the state. And again, it doesn't matter if it's healthcare, if it's substance use, if it's mental health. I even work with, this is strange to say for someone who has a felony on the record, but I work closely with law enforcement in my hometown, which is still strange to me to this day. But they do amazing work. Those guys, they have an amazing program there, the recovery and support unit. Community recovery and support unit, and they have an angel program. They take folks to treatment across the state. Those guys do really good stuff. And the first time I walked in there in the station to meet them, I met them before, but the first time I actually went to the station to meet them, I didn't know I could walk back out. The only time I'd ever been in that station was through the Sally Port. I didn't know it had a lobby. Yeah, I was like, oh, I can leave? Oh, this is nice. Yeah. So, this it's just strange. If you would have told me 10 years ago the stuff I'd be doing today, like, man, you're crazy. What kind of drugs are you on, and where can I get some of those? You going to share? Because you're hallucinating. There's no way. Because today I get to, it's like a fairy tale. I never imagined I'd be doing any of this. This past Monday and Tuesday I was in Washington D.C. We were lobbying for the Reentry Act and the Due Process Continuity of Care Act, and those are to keep Medicaid until a conviction or get Medicaid rolling 30 days prior to release. So, and it's just again, because health is such a huge part of life, making sure folks have those resources up until they're actually convicted of a crime or before they get out, reintegrating into society, make sure folks have like their mental health medications, making sure they have like substance use medications. Those things are extremely important if we want safe communities, if we want safer folks, if we want that recidivism rate to continue to drop. These are the measures that we need to take. We need to make sure folks have that wraparound continuum of care. And it doesn't matter, what someone's past is or what someone's last name is or what their social status is. Everyone needs health care. Everyone. And it doesn't matter if someone's behind bars or if they're walking on the street. Everyone deserves health care. Everyone deserves to be able to go to a doctor if something's wrong with them, if they're sick. I don't know about you, but growing up as a black man in Kentucky, I mean, I hardly ever went to the doctor unless I was damn near dead.
Right.
It's just, it's the way it was. It's like, we don't go to the doctor unless we absolutely have to. And still to this day, I have great insurance, but I hardly ever go to the doctor.
Yeah, it was a big fear back then for some
yeah,
reason.
Yeah. But I know my insurance is good because my wife uses it all the time.
Right.
But again, unless I'm really sick, I don't go to the doctor. I don't go for checkups and stuff every year. I need to. I know that, but it's just one of those things. Growing up, it was that was part of my culture growing up. So
yeah. So dream.org.
Okay.
What is your day-to-day with that? What is the mission and how does that, when you are in the community, how does that work? What are you actually doing out there? If you can let our viewers and listeners know.
Yeah, of course. So Dream is a national nonprofit. We are based out of Oakland, California. We were originally started by Van Jones. Here's my favorite piece of Dream stuff here is our tech side. So we have 3 programs. We have our justice team, we have our Green for All team, and we have our tech team. So our tech team was started by Van Jones and Prince. When my supervisor, who was the Prince, the Purple Rain Prince, that was the same reaction I had, and I was like, oh, that Prince, Purple Rain Prince, and she's like, yeah. I was like, where do I sign up? I was like, I don't need nothing else. If Prince was cool with it, then I'm cool with it. So, because Prince was all about his people, man.
Yeah.
So if he was for it, then I know I could be for it. So that was my selling point for Dream. But Dream does some great stuff. So what we do across the country, especially the team I work on, is the justice team. Is like 80% of our team is justice impacted. Like we've all been incarcerated, and we work with different folks across the country, like from their communities. So folks in these communities, we work with them on issues that they want to work on. We just give them the resources they need, whether that be like technical support, whatever that may be. But we don't go into states or communities and pick issues for people to work on. We let the folks in those areas tell us what they want to work on, and then we give them the resources they need to run that campaign. And we work on issue campaigns. It's not like we don't do political campaigns. When my title says campaign organizer, I'm not organizing Mitch McConnell's campaign.
Right.
No, I do issue campaigns. So for me, it's substance use and mental health. That's and everything else ties into those. Whether it be homelessness, or whether it be housing, whether it be health, it all ties together. It's interwoven. It's not one single thread. This stuff's woven together into a nice tapestry. So that's
a great idea, man. How you guys go in and you talk to the community first instead of dumping things on the community, assuming what they need.
Yeah, I live in Eastern Kentucky, man. I can't tell you, Gio, what's going on in your neighborhood. I have no idea.
Right.
I can't come in and be like, oh, man, you need to work on this. Your neighborhood needs to. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be some BS for me to come do that. But I can be like, hey, man, what's going on in your neighborhood? How can I help?
Yeah.
What resources do you need? How can I be of help? How can I be of assistance? Do you need me to bring some folks in? Do you need some folks to do some research? I can do that. And then we we train folks on lobbying, talking to legislators, whether that be their local legislators or it be on a federal level. We took some directly impacted folks to DC. That's why we were lobbying. It wasn't just Dream doing it. We were taking folks from different states that had never been to the Capitol to walk the halls to actually to do that. And we did a congressional briefing, and they really enjoyed it. But just making sure folks understand that you're an American citizen. You're allowed in these buildings. They're
Right.
your buildings.
Yeah.
You're allowed to go up there and be like, I don't agree with you doing this. I voted for you to do this. You can tell those folks that, and just empowering folks with that knowledge that, hey, I can go talk to I can go talk to my elected officials and try to persuade them to move on a piece of legislation one way or the other.
Now, do
And
you
a lot
guys
of folks
get a
don't.
lot of community engagement?
Yeah.
A lot of people involved?
Yeah, we get a lot of community engagement. I do events across the state. This is my third year in a row doing public health as public safety tour across Kentucky. I always start in Eastern Kentucky because I live there. I got to start close to home. I always finish here or in Louisville, so I'm finishing here this year. But we on these events we really highlight the co-response, community co-response model, and that is where either fire, EMS, police, they take a mental health or a peer support out with them on calls. So you have someone that can help step in on you. I don't know how you guys have been with this, but I know for the recovery community, that connection and that relationship with law enforcement has never been really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know folks in active use, it's definitely not. So having that person that's been on the other side on those calls, I think is bridging that gap and really building those relationships. And that's what we want. We want folks to be able to trust each other. We want the folks that need the resources to be able to trust the folks with the resources or that are the resources. And we have to make sure that we're training our law enforcement and our first responders and stuff in crisis stuff that they didn't sign up to do. No one went in to become a police officer to say, hey, I want to be a therapist for folks suffering from mental illness or substance use. That it was not their number one goal, but they are the first touch point for folks when it comes to those issues. So, making sure that they are trained to know that, hey, I'm gonna have to get someone else in here, or, we need more help. This is not a violent situation. So we've seen a lot of folks unfortunately, we've seen folks, get shot or get charges that really they didn't need. They were going through an episode and there was other ways that we could have handled that. But I think, if we're taking folks that have that lived experience out on these calls with law enforcement or EMS and are able to be that go-between, I think, we can turn the tide there as well. And again, it's all about making our communities healthier and safer.
So let's talk a little bit about health and healing in the community, because you've traveled all over the state. You said you serve all 120 counties. So I feel like you've probably got a pretty good pulse on what health and healing look like in our community, as Kentuckians. So what are some things that you notice that help the community feel stronger, healthier, more connected, sort of what's working and what's sort of giving you hope?
Man, that is a good question. And there's not a blanket answer to that. Each community is a little different, and it's just making sure that we are making sure that we're hitting the individual needs of communities, because each community is a little different. There's some so similar, but there's those little nuances that are a little different. And just working with the folks that are on the ground that are doing the work. All these issues across Kentucky, the one thing that we have to realize is no one person, no one organization can handle it on their own. We have to work in collaboration, especially when it comes to our public health issues in the state. If we have to break down the silos and work together. It's always collaboration when you're doing it for the right reasons. Only people at the bottom look at it as competition. When it comes to helping folks better their lives and become healthier, and across the state of Kentucky, we have to, make sure that our communities are educated. Folks don't know what they don't know. So educational campaigns are great ways to teach folks, different ways to be healthy, to have healthier communities. It helps our kids stay engaged. There's a lot of ways that we can get Kentuckians involved as well. And I think that's going to be the main thing that we have to do on no matter what we do in Kentucky is we have to keep our communities involved and engaged, instead of talking to or at them, having a conversation with them, asking them, how can we help your community grow? How can we help your community stay healthy? How can we help your community stay safe? And really listening to what they have to say instead of going in like, nope, this works. Kind of like what we do here at Dream, is really doing. It's a needs assessment. It's basically what you're going to have to do, and figure out what each community needs, and then go from there. Again, they're going to be nuances. Your community here in Lexington is going to be completely different than my little community out in Eastern Kentucky. There's probably more people in this building than there is in the community that I live in. So, that's a big difference. It's a big difference in needs and a difference in resources. So, and making sure we educate folks on what resources are available in their communities and what ones aren't, what ones are needed in their communities. A lot of folks don't know what's available. And I think that is a big issue that we really have to tackle in some of our rural areas. Because some of our rural communities have resources that the same resources that you guys have here in Lexington or they have in Louisville, but folks just don't know. And I think that is, something that we're failing at. We need folks to know what's available in their areas, so when they need help, they can get it, no matter what that help may be.
Okay, let's talk about hope, John. In the next 3 to 5 years, like what do you hope to see, for the community? Involving your team, of course, or what type of goals have you guys set, whether they're long-term, short-term, but what does that look like?
Oh, man. For me, personally, I would love to see, the thing that I would really love to see is a transparency on a local level for our opioid abatement settlement and the spending across the state. That's the one thing that I really want to see. Our state, on a state level, we do a really good job of transparency, showing where every penny has went. I lost a lot of friends and family members to the disease of addiction and to opioid addiction in general. And I like to know where every single cent of this money goes, because it's blood money. That's the main thing that I'm working on personally, is trying to get transparency on a local level. We just started a reporting portal through the state opioid abatement commission for our local agencies and municipalities. So just trying to make sure that we figure out where all of our money for the opioid settlement goes, and then keeping people engaged in that harm reduction saves lives. For the past few years, Kentucky's been on a downtick in overdose deaths. Even this year, our Black community also was a decrease. Like last year, the Black community went up and everyone else went down, but this year, everyone went down. But it's the people doing the boots on the ground work that make that possible, and making sure that those programs stay in place, that funding stays in place. Yeah. There's people out here on the street probably today, right now in Lexington, I know there are in Louisville as well, that are walking around giving people bags, that have hygiene products in them, that have overdose reversal kits in it, has food in it, water, whatever that may be. But there's people out there that are giving out resources right now, and we have to continue to do that. The next few years is going to be rough. There's going to be a lot of cuts, and a lot of folks are, losing funding. But, the one thing that I will say is folks are resilient. Yeah. We will find a way. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not. It's going to be very stressful. It's going to be very tough. But if we work together, we can get through it. And I think that's the key. We have to work together as a state. There's a lot of great people here in Kentucky, and we have to come together to really get over this hump for the next few years, because it's going to affect us all. Yeah.
Is the opioid settlement, is that public? What did that generate?
So Kentucky will get over $1 billion over the next. I think we got like 13 years left on this
$1
settlement.
billion.
$1 billion, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So here's the thing, though: the state gets half, and then counties and cities get half. So the states they have the Opioid Abatement Commission, and they do public hearings and everything that every grant that they send out, they make public knowledge of. Well, we don't have that same requirement for our county and cities,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing that we're trying to get going, is to make sure we have that transparency so we can see where this money's being
Gotcha.
spent. Because what a lot of folks don't realize, if we do not spend this money correctly, the pharmaceutical companies can take it back.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they determine who?
No, it has to.
How
It has to be spent. Like 70% of it has to be spent to on abatement, on opioid abatement.
Mhm.
And it has to be spent on that. So if we go over that 30% threshold of spending on other things, they can take it back, because you have to keep the receipts for it.
Yeah.
It's a settlement. It's not a grant. There's requirements on this thing. This, and what people fail to realize, this is not an infinite amount of money. It will end.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, I would rather municipalities and agencies and stuff not spend it, but before spending it wrongly. Consult with the folks in your area. There's folks in your community that's went through substance use that are, in recovery. They might be in substance use now. They can help you figure out how to spend this money, what will work. There were things when I was out there in the madness that, if folks would ask me, like, yeah, this would help me, quit today. But, no one ever asked me that. So, but we have this money. Let's use it correctly. Kentucky was at the epicenter of this opioid epidemic, and we've been right there at the top in the overdose numbers. So let's lead the country in spending this money wisely for the right reasons. Let's show them that, hey, we can turn the table around. We can, pick up our citizens that went through this mess, and help them better their lives and the lives of the folks coming after them.
Wow.
Yeah, I think for us, like that transparency, right? Like our project currently, this podcast as we're recording, right, is funded on that opioid abatement at the state level. And we were fortunate enough to receive one of those research grants, where we're really working on the prevention end of things, working with youth in the schools and doing stuff like that. But also this, right, like telling your story, and getting, recovery happens.
Yeah.
And you're so much more than that label that gets put on you, right?
That's it. That's why the educational piece is so important. It's that storytelling that really connects folks. It's that hearts and minds.
Yeah.
When I hear someone say something, I can connect with it on a personal level. It means so much more to me. And then just on a like, oh, that sounded good. But no, when it's like, oh, I've been through that. I know that feeling. I've been there. I've done that. And you're like, oh yeah, I got
that's
that
why you're
connection.
sitting here today, because a lot of people definitely need to hear, your journey through all of this, what you've seen and what you've learned, and just listening to you, man. Your knowledge of this is very amazing, which leads me to this question. Like, it seems like you spend a lot of time over the years, not just building yourself, but just helping the community, and that can take a lot out of a person. So how do you actually take care of yourself throughout this, man? And who do you, who do you credit for the things that you know now?
I gotta give, first and foremost, I gotta give credit for me being here to my higher power. Because it's not John. I'm very destructive. Like, we all end up with felonies if we live on John's self-will by the end of the day.
Yeah.
That is how destructive I am. We can leave here and we all be felons by the time we get to the parking lot. But
Right.
just, I try to take pride and ego out of it. I don't care if I get credit for anything. If I can help someone else, I don't need the credit.
Yeah.
That's all the credit I need, seeing someone live. I don't care. I don't care about the credit. And I think recovery is the reason for that. Is helping me take the pride and ego out of it. That's the thing, man. Yeah, I have a nice long title, but to me, I'm still John. When you asked me earlier, how to refer, I'm just John, man, and that's what I'll always be. I want to share this though, because I've been greatly surprised in the past 2 months. They were really, really good surprises, and it's also part of my support system, which was One of them is my sponsee and really good friend Odell, and my wife. My wife is my biggest supporter, and also my boss Amanda. But on these two surprises, these three people got me really good. So my wife and Odell surprised me. Got I got a Kentucky Colonel. I became a Kentucky Colonel like a month ago, and they surprised me with their certificate. I knew nothing about it, and I was genuinely surprised on that one. And the second one, a couple weeks ago, I got a Hometown Hero Award at Hill in Appalachia that my boss nominated me for. So,
Nice.
you know, I got
Well deserved.
amazing people that support me and believe in me. And you know, that's the reason that I'm here doing what I do now, is the people in my life that I surround myself with, man. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Amen. What about the self-care? Like,
Self-care, man. For me, I like getting out in nature. I play a lot of golf.
Okay.
I got Dream gives us amazing PTO. I get 4 weeks of vacation and like 2 weeks of sick time a year. So
yeah.
I get a lot of off time. So I was just figuring out when to take it. Actually, my vacation starts this evening when I get done today.
Is that easy to do though?
What?
When that vacation time comes up?
I work 24/7 whether I'm at work or not. 'Cause my mind's always going.
That's Gio. That's Gio.
You understand?
I'm sitting here as I'm talking to you, man. It's
Yeah.
so many similarities, man.
Yeah, my mind's always going. I'm always having conversations with people about the work that I'm doing or the work that I
Yeah.
want to do. So, you know, but I'm not logging onto my computer and getting on Zoom calls for a week. We'll put it that way.
Right.
But if I meet someone out in the community and they want to know about what I do, or I think they're doing something cool and I think we need to make a connection, hey, guess what? I'm making that connection. It doesn't matter if I'm clocked in or not. I need that connection, whether I'm at this job or another one. I need the folks in my community in my state to know that, you know, we're here to build relationships, and it's what this work is. It's about relationships. It's like, you know, who do you know? How can they help you, and how can you help them? Don't just call on folks just to help you. If you're not going to help them, then don't call them. You know, I believe in true friendship, you know, and what I mean by that is I'm going to help somebody whether it's going to help me or not. If you're my friend, I want you to succeed whether I'm succeeding or not, because if you're succeeding, then I'm succeeding because you are my friend.
Wow.
And how can I help you do that? You know, whether I'm at the forefront or I'm in the background, you know, just doing nothing, just clapping, I'm okay with that. You know, if it's your time to shine, it's your time to shine. You know, and that, I think that is one of the things that folks really have to work on, is we have to clap for each other. You know, we have to be genuinely happy for our friends when they succeed, and not be sour when it's not our time.
Right.
You know, because
time is coming.
Your time is
Be
coming.
patient.
If you're doing the work, your time is coming. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, it'll come. If anyone gets into any of this work for the money, you doing yourself a bad misservice is all I'm
Right.
saying. But if you do this work right, the money will come. You know, even if you're a nonprofit, the grants will come. You know, if you're doing the work right, people see you doing the work. You know, it's always actions, not words. Acting nonverbal. I actually have that on my medallion. I used to wear it on my neck all the time. And the reason being is because as someone in recovery, when I was in active addiction, my words didn't mean jack crap. When I got in early recovery, my words didn't mean nothing. Even though I was sober and I was clean and I was doing everything right, I had to show folks
Come on.
what I was
Action.
about. I couldn't tell them, hey, I'm a better person. No, they had to see it. They had to see me in action and see that I was living better, see me doing better, see me treating people better.
And
And
how
then
long did that take over a period of time?
it took a while. It wasn't overnight. It was
Right.
it was years. You
Yeah.
know, but in some cases it was months. Some cases it was years. Some
Yeah.
cases it's still going on.
Yeah,
And
somebody needed to hear that right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
'Cause sometimes everybody wants to start from the top.
it's not that instant gratification, man. It's nothing that is meaningful is quick. It don't happen. If it's meaningful for you, it's going to take some time, man.
Yeah.
You got to put some work into it. You know, that's the thing with folks today. We want that instant gratification. You know, these dang on cell phones got us want stuff instantly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that patience to really put in the time to really take care of something and grow it from a
Right.
seed into fruit.
Amen.
I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm over here pondering it now. It's
Yeah.
like, just throw out the rest of my questions. we got a couple fun questions, I guess, to kind of wrap up here. So Gio and I bond over music. That's one of the things that we really like, and I know for the two of us too, that's like kind of like a self-care avenue.
Oh yeah.
So we've been working on some curated playlists and things. So we're slipping in a new question now in season 3. So what's a song or an artist that you turn to when you need a reset? So when you need like a pick me up or a calm down?
Okay. Well, I got a few different artists for a few different things. So if I just need like a calm down and just to get into a good mood, I usually put on like Trampled by Turtles, which is weird. Especially for someone who looks like me, people are like, what? But yeah, Trampled by Turtles, it's a kind of a progressive bluegrass band from Minnesota, and they play really fast, and it always picks me up. I love live music.
Minnesota, huh?
They're from Minnesota, yeah, but I love live music, so I love string music, and then like if I need to just reset and to get into the right frame of mind for something, I'll listen to Change by Blind Melon. That is like the song that puts me in the right state of mind. And then if I need to get pissed off or something, it's Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine.
That'll get your blood moving for sure.
Yeah. So that's my music. And, I listen to a little bit of everything in between, but, those are 3 songs that like if I need to calm down or if I need to just reset or if I need to get angry, those are the 3. But I listen to everything from bluegrass to hip hop, man, and everything in between. I love music.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll find a place on the curated playlist. We've got them in different genres, and we got some to calm you down, some to pick you up. So,
nice.
It's a fun question to ask, just to see kind of where people take it. But since the podcast is also called IChampionHealth Chats, we always ask our guests to fill in the blank. IChampionHealth through or IChampionHealth by?
IChampionHealth through my public health is public safety campaign, and by connecting folks with the resources in their communities and across the state.
A connector.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard that.
Yeah. And I take that to heart. That is something that, if I do nothing else in this life, I will make sure that folks are connected to other folks.
Okay. Again, as we wrap up, man, we just can't, leave without leaving the audience a wonderful message. So what message would you give our future champions, our future leaders, our youth, community? What can you leave them?
Okay, my parting words will be this. We can never go back and change our past, but we can start right now and change our beginning.
Wow. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, we can never go back and change our past, but we can start right now and change our beginning or change our future. The ending's never set. What's done's done.
Yeah.
So everyone gets all hung up on the past. You can't go back and change it. We don't have a magical wand. We can't rewind time. But what we can do, we can reset. We can get a vision going forward, and we can change who we are going forward. We can't change who we were, but we can change who we are.
Wow. And John, you are definitely a living example, living proof of everything that you just said. I just want you to know, man, we appreciate you for coming by, spending time with us. Your testimony is amazing. And to all the listeners and viewers out there, man, listen, this is a wonderful message. I encourage you to go back, rewind this, listen to it. John has shared so many nuggets in this interview, man. We definitely appreciate you. So again, my name is Gerald Gibson. I am your host of IChampionHealth Chats. Joining me today was my co-host, Mr. Jakob Hester. We appreciate you all. Remember to find us on social media. God bless and have a blessed day.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for tuning in to IChampionHealth Chats. If something you heard in this episode spoke to you, don't forget to follow us and share it with your community. You can find us on social media at IChampionHealth or email us at iChampionHealth@uky.edu. This season was paid for with funds from the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission by and through the Office of the Attorney General. The opinions and recommendations expressed in this podcast are those of IChampionHealth and the guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission or the Office of the Attorney General.